The monk bought a woman for 5 yen and took her home, and that night he touched her bed. But when he was trying to do something, the woman pushed him away. It turned out that the woman did not know that she as Ben husband was sold, but also thought that her husband just let him out to do menial work to earn money. The woman was angry and injured the monk, ran back home in the night, but found that her husband has a new wife around. See, things have been exposed. The husband is no longer cover up, and even to the monk said, "This is a well-known folklore in Japan, and the heroine of the film, Xiao Yan, is known as Japan's first female ghost. Because of her magic, it seems to have shone through from the legend into reality. Since the first performance of the stage play in 1825, the director, as well as his family and related staff, a total of 11 people have died. So what's this rumored folklore about?" The story begins with this down and out yin and yang master, who had a nightmare that day, dreaming that he went out and met a lone ghost by the stream at the entrance of the village, who reached out and grabbed him as if he wanted to eat him alive. And his daughter woke him up at the moment of 8,000 catches, and it turned out to be the landlord who came to the door to collect the rent. But now the world is difficult. Exorcism spells cannot be sold. Fortune telling is no one asked. In order to subsidize the family, he had to follow the neighbors to go out to work. However, when he came to the mouth of the village next to the creek, he found that, and last night's dream scene is generally the same. When looking along the burned lantern, found a body in the bushes. The body is dead. The neighbors were scared and screamed, but still boldly let the corpse close his eyes. Soon the officials rushed to, along with a samurai. The samurai took a look at the body, confirmed that the deceased is his father-in-law. But just now, has closed his eyes of the corpse, but even opened his eyes again. The samurai's wife is Xiao Yan, the heroine of the story. When Xiao Yan learns of her father's death, she's overwhelmed with grief and begs her husband to avenge her father's death. Naturally, her husband agrees, but he says that he needs money to go out and look for his enemies. So he can only ask his wife to go out to work to earn some money, which Xiao Yan agrees to without even thinking. The next day, a monk came to pick up Xiao Yan. However, the monk took Xiao Yan directly back to his home, saying that today it is late. You rest here temporarily, and tomorrow we'll take you back. At first, Xiao Yan did not think much about it, but in the latter half of the night, the monk even quietly touched Xiao Yan's bed and wanted to rape Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan woke up violently and said that if she let her husband know that you wanted to do such a thing, he would surely kill you. But the monk said, Xiao Yan do not believe. Injured, the monk ran home at night, but found that the truth and the monk said the same. The original. The husband never wanted to avenge his father, let her go out to earn money, but also just want to get rid of her, because the daughter of the landlord's family fancy him, as long as to drive away from her, not only to be able to get a large sum of money, but also to marry the daughter of the landlord's family. After learning everything, Xiao Yan grieved, but cannot do anything. Her husband is now the only dependence. She returned home again, pleading with her husband to be able to take in their own, because there is no right a letter of repudiation, so her husband can only let Ian continue to stay at home. But this caused the landlord's dissatisfaction. He gave the man the next day a packet of poison to let him go back to the poison Xiao Yan. At this time, the rain-drenched Xiao Yan body a little better. Looking at her husband appeared behind her, and also gave herself a packet of medicine. The heart suddenly produced a hint of fantasy. She felt that her husband, in fact, nature is not bad, as long as their own efforts may be able to win back her husband's true heart. But just in the evening, the monk came to the door again. He prayed that Xiao Yan could go with himself and get well in his own house. If he continued to stay by your husband's side, something bad would surely happen to him, saying that he took out from his bosom the medicine that he had grabbed for Yan. But Xiao Yan slapped down the medicine which the monk had grabbed and turned into the room and drank the medicine which her husband had given her in one gulp. Immediately after that, the monk also came in. He saw that Yan was obstinate, so he said to him, "Do you know who killed your father? In fact, it was your husband who did it. He wanted to marry the daughter of the landlord's family, but your father would certainly not agree." Xiao Yan covered her ears, not wanting to listen to the monk's nonsense. But it was too late. The poison began to take effect. Xiao Yan's face began to fester. Her hair fell out at the slightest touch, and the monk was so frightened that he fled through the door. At that moment, Xiao Yan's husband came back to check on the situation, only to see Xiao Yan sitting in front of a mirror in the house. Then Xiao Yan jumped on her husband's body The man was infuriated and drew his knife to cut over. At closer look, it was not Xiaoyan, but a strand of hair. Then Xiaoyan appeared in the corner again, was doing the housework as usual. The man again cut over. The result is still only a strand of hair. After a continuous wave of chopping, the man finally realized that he was being haunted by a ghost and rushed to the monk's home at night to hide for the night. Seeing him gasping for air, the monk kindly brought him a bowl of water to quench his thirst. However, in the man's eyes, the monk had already transformed into Xiaoyan's appearance. The man continued to flee in a state of disorientation and soon came to a roadside stall where he happened to meet the previous yin-yang master, who could tell at a glance that the man had encountered a ghost. So he brought him back to his home, laid down a boundary to try to save the man's life, and told him that no matter what happened, he couldn't leave the room, and that a little while later, Xiaoyan came to the door to pay his respects. The man was completely devastated, totally disregarding the advice of the yin-yang master. He only wanted to escape from Xiaoyan now, only rushed out of the room and came to the landlord's house in the night to beg the other party to take him in for the night. But Xiaoyan seemed to be a ghost and soon followed him here. He found Xiaoyan appeared outside the door, drew his knife and stepped over. However, I did not realize that it was the daughter of the landlord's family. The landlord rushed to check the situation. The man was worried about the matter was exposed, so incidentally the landlord was also killed. The samurai from the landlord's family came and surrounded the man. The man was soon cornered by the river. Just as he wanted to make a final struggle, he turned back and saw Iuemon again. He knew that he couldn't escape anymore. In that case, he returned his life to Iuemon, and then he drew his sword and cut himself.